Alright, so far we've talked about how to install lettering, which is broken down into individual pieces, and why that center hinge method or offset hinge method is useful there. Let's suppose that this represents a really long stripe. Like, let's say you've got a 10-foot piece of 10-inch tall stripe that you're going to install on a bed rail on a haul truck. Well, that can be a challenge. And you can see very quickly that the peel and stick method is almost impossible to get a straight line on that. So what I'd like to do now is I'll say that this represents that 10-foot piece of stripe. Now maybe that sounds like, obviously you can't necessarily put a center hinge there, because it'll literally be outside your ability to manage with the span of your arms. Well, what do you do then? And you can't put multiple hinges because you can't cut in the middle. Well, what you can do is what we'll call an offset hinge. And I'm not even going to bother to measure this because we've already covered how to get something aligned. Now, remember, this is a small decal, but this same principle is going to hold true even if it was 15 feet long. You start by getting it measured and aligned right on the side of the bed rail or whatever it is you're installing it on, and then you put your hinge at a manageable point. So let's say this is like 3 feet of stripe there. You get that peeled back, and again, you might need a helper if it's a windy day, and then you're going to get that installed. That's why it's really helpful to have a belt when you install, because if you're standing up and you're hanging on the side of a ladder somewhere, you want a place you can do that. Now, if this was, say, 10 feet long, and I know this is not proportionally correct, but you'd have like 7 or 8 feet of stripe over here. By rolling this back to the middle, you can now start and work in manageable pieces. So Josh, now you zoom in there, you just grab that like that, and now I've got a manageable piece of decal, and all the other decal is still off there to the side. And I can just gradually work that around, and I can roll this whole thing around and keep holding that in place and install that a little at a time. Reposition there, take more off, and if it's a really long stripe and this excess paper gets to be in the way, you can pause, you can cut the excess paper off, get rid of that. You're still working with, see, I still got stripe down there that's not installed. So gradually, simply get it down, piece at a time. And because this is all locked in place and this is going to walk straight, by the time you get to the end of that bed rail, even if it's 10 feet long, you might only be off 1/4 of an inch, which is really pretty accurate installation. And then you can just peel it off. On some dozers and other machines, you'll have stripe that's got to fit into corners. One of the reasons to carry a scissors in your tool belt is so that you can just trim it a couple of places to give yourself some visual reference points. So just get that trimmed. And let's say you got a pocket that this stripe has got to tuck into, and it's got to line up right. So you just get that trimmed at a couple of spots. Doesn't take all that long. And now you can see right where you need to go at the top of that panel. You can tuck it right over to the edge of that panel. And then you do the same principle with the hinge. So you can see why trimming the things back, keeping the scissors with you, will help you to get some accurate installations. So I hope that'll help you to be more effective in your installation process.